What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Buffalo Fanatics Film Session Live. I'm your co-host, Clay Troy, and over here we've got...
Kendall Mursky. How is everyone doing this week? How does everyone feel about the recent victory over the Atlanta Falcons? I hope everyone's still confident despite, some lack of stat stuffing from Josh Allen. Please, I'll take the temperature. Let us know how you feel in the chat with the victory, because a victory is a victory, and we just got to stack them at this point. But Clay, how did you feel about the game despite obviously the stat stuffing, like I said?
Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty good about it. Even halfway through the game, the Bills were, went into halftime down by a point. I really wasn't that worried, just because the Bills had made a few mistakes, and those things are, if you're only down by 1 point after the mistakes that the Bills made in the first half, I'm completely fine with it, especially knowing who those guys are that were going into that locker room at halftime, and knowing that there were just a few adjustments that they could make at halftime and have themselves be okay. So I think really that was kind of my feeling about it. Was it's like, yeah, they didn't have a great first half. They were pretty sloppy with everything, but they did exactly what they should have done in the second half, which is come out and just execute. And I feel like that's what they did, beyond that first drive with that one Josh Allen tip pass, which, there's not much you can do about that either. Those guys made a good play and got fortunate in where that ball ended up after it got tipped. It happens. So, but after that, it was a really clean game from the Bills, and I think they did a really good job of executing the way that a team in Buffalo, New York should, especially when they've got the lead late in the game. They were able to execute things that that normally they weren't. So I was honestly very pleased with how that game went.
So to your point on the tipped interception to come out of, so I leave Los Angeles, and now we're back to this. So this is the trade-off. Anyways, I put this on Twitter. It literally got no interactions, but I'm going to put it out here now. Everyone wants a dome, right? And, we all wanted that touchdown right out of halftime because we didn't look great coming out of the first half. We had a great first drive, and then it kind of, mistakes, just shooting ourselves in the foot. But then you come out of the locker room and you expect a touchdown right out of the first, or right off the kickoff for the second half. And obviously that tipped interception just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Everyone in Team Dome says that we can't do anything. This offense is built to play in a dome. Josh Allen's better when he plays away, all that stuff. But I'm curious if Team Dome is willing to acknowledge the fact that the Bills stopped the Falcons on that next drive after the interception, stopped them to 3 and out. And then because of the inclement weather, the Falcons were forced to punt, and nothing happened of the interception other than Josh getting another interception in his totals. For what it's worth, obviously, that's just like one feather in the cap for pro Bills in inclement weather, but it's still something. These are the things that happen with weather. Yes, it might hinder the Bills more than it hinders their opponent just based on how this team is built, but it's not a cure-all. It's not a silver bullet. It's going to be based on the game script and how the game is played. Weather isn't always going to negatively impact the Bills. That's an area where it clearly helped the Bills.
Yeah, and I think it's the whole, dome, no dome situation is just a lose-lose situation anyway. Because when teams like the Falcons or, the Dolphins or, Tampa Bay or someone like that, when they come up to Buffalo in December and in January, people are going to say, well, now we got a dome. We have no advantage. These guys are playing in the same kind of weather that they've always been playing in. And, that's one of those things where it's a dome team or a warm weather team. When they come to Buffalo, there is it really is a larger disadvantage for those teams. It's a disadvantage to us too. And that's the thing is, do we want any disadvantage to us at all? Who knows? That's why I think it's kind of a moot point for me, really. Yeah. Whether or not they do it, both teams will be disadvantaged equally. They'll both be dealing with the same weather. So exactly. It's whatever to me, but I love watching the argument between people because they get so upset about it. I'm a season ticket holder as well. And first of all, if they build a dome, we might not be season ticket holders anymore. It might be too expensive.
Right.
But
that's another half.
I'm fine with sitting in the cold every once in a while.
Right.
If the Bills are winning, that is. We're set for a couple of shitty games and with nothing to show for it this season. So I wasn't too happy about that. But
hey, your ticket is always going to pay itself off if you
watch
Josh Allen, though. So
exactly, yeah. So I do think that is very funny. Thank you for everyone who's in the chat already. We got Pops Mafia. He was in here super early, and Richard Forbes as well. Appreciate you guys. Chris S as well, usual. Zach King, Joshua Richardson. We got some members in here. Richard Rush, of course, a longtime supporter. Appreciate you guys being here. Do you want to jump right into the film then?
Yeah, I'm down. Do you want to go first this week?
Sure, I'll go first, actually.
I feel like you have the absolute player of the game. I should take a back seat on this one.
Well, my player of the game here, my MVP was Devin Singletary, and I feel like that was pretty unanimous. It was his best game this season, one of his best games of his career, really. I don't think he ever has had, up until that point, a game with 2 rushing touchdowns. Is that correct?
It might be right. I'm not going to fact check you on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere. So whoever I heard it from, it's your fault if I'm wrong. But yeah, I thought he had a fantastic game, and let's just go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff that he was doing because it was very, very impressive. This first one here is probably the most obvious highlight to put in here. It's when he just absolutely demolishes this defensive back here, who we can see at the end of this play is getting up real slow, and he looks a little demoralized back here watching Devin Singletary continue to run down the field. This is just first of all, to get out into the space was great, and almost lose the football there, a little scary, but Devin Singletary, the way that he runs is so incredible because he's not really like a power guy or anything like that. He's very small, but his center of gravity is so low that he's able to make plays like this against these guys. I mean, look at how low this defender is to the ground. His knees are like on the ground almost already, and Devin Singletary still has the leverage on this to be able to knock this guy back into the turf. It's just a really impressive play and a really great way to see him kind of running behind his shoulder pads like that when he gets out into the second level, because this is a time when it's, hey, I've got nowhere else I can go. I'm just going to try to run through this guy, and that's exactly what he does. So just a great play all around and great blocking as well on the from Morse here as well, getting out there. He had a great game. It's just how can you not love this play?
Yeah, this play really speaks to the all-around back and the balanced nature of how Singletary runs. There isn't any one area that he's especially great and perfect in. There are areas that he's definitely above average, like vision, footwork, elusiveness. But I wouldn't argue he's, elite in any one area. He's very well-rounded. And the fact that he can truck someone, a hard-hitting safety like Sean Williams like that, it's very impressive. And then, like you said, the offensive line play on this play, you see 2 polars. You see Rick Bates over there and Mitch Morse. And he's following Mitch Morse right through the run gap. And of course, Mitch just takes, who's that, Aluakun right out of the play just because of how quickly he shoots through the run gap and then seals him off from the designed alley. It was well executed, and we saw this all day. I don't know. I think I saw it somewhere in the chat. I'm not going to sit here and say the Bills' run game is fixed because the Atlanta Falcons aren't the greatest run-stopping defense, but the run game has looked good for a couple of weeks now. So, and Singletary has looked good for a few weeks now. So you should take both sides of it with a grain of salt. I mean, yeah, it might be the opponent. It might be execution. Either way, we'll take the outcome.
Yeah, and I have to say, just continuously like watching this play over and over again, Devin Singletary's speed and acceleration looks so much different this year than it has his previous 2 seasons in the league. I mean, this play is not sped up. I haven't changed the speed, but he gets moving north and south, like headed down the field so quick coming out of this. It's slow, quick. And I think that's something that he's really, really good at and has really worked on in the offseason, or did work on in the offseason, was that, getting to top speed as fast as you can, because his top speed is not crazy to begin with. I think he did make himself a little bit faster in the offseason.
Yeah.
But that acceleration and that change of direction that he can already utilize and turn that into acceleration and speed has just been really, really fun to watch. And I think the way that he's been playing this season, I think he's showing that he can be a feature back in an offense, even in this offense, although I do think the Bills need more of a bigger, I want a 6'1" guy with tree trunk thighs back there as well at some point, because that's just the way that I think offenses should be run. I want like a guy like AJ Dillon to be a number 2 or a bell cow back. So definitely something to look forward to and look into. But I really like the way that he's running this season so far. This next play here, this is his first touchdown run. And what I like about this one so much, and this was pretty exemplary of a lot of the runs that he had in this game. And this one's just the best one because he also kind of powers through and gets a touchdown out of it. But I really, really like his patience. And then once again, it's the slow, quick, where he's patient, looking for the hole, waiting for the kick out block from Reggie Gilliam. And then he fires through the gap, and he's got one guy he's got to fight through. So he lowers himself and keeps his weight low, like he's so good at doing, and gets himself into the end zone. It's just a really good run.
Yeah, this play to me, a couple of things. It screams execution, and I'll explain that in a second. But at the same time, like, this is back-to-back weeks at Singletary. Instead of trying to find like a little sliver of space to run through to get cleanly into the end zone, he's running through someone to get across the goal line. And it's really showing his grit and determination. Whereas, like, you can see him like borderline taunting, whatever you want to call taunting now, once he gets across that goal line. But like, that's the kind of mentality you have to have as a running back. Like, you're expected to take hits. Like, maybe 10% of the time you have the football, you're actually standing on your feet at the time that the whistle is blown. So you kind of have to embrace that physicality the same way that, Josh Allen does when he gets hit hard. You have to embrace that as a running back, and you see it on this play. But in terms of the execution, I love how this counter is ran. Like you said, slow, fast. Like, you have to let the play develop in front of you. And Singletary is really good at letting his blockers get into the spaces that they need to be in, him setting up those blockers. But you see Darrell Williams pull across, but you see Gilliam start his initial path to the right, to like the right B gap. And that's the design of the counter. It's to get the defense to flow to that side of the line of scrimmage and just believe that Darrell Williams pulling to the left is a false pull. It's a decoy. They're going. It's completely just there to throw you off. But because of the slow play, the slow build-up, Gilliam then gets across the formation, follows Darrell Williams, and really him and Darrell Williams, Gilliam and Williams, that's tough to say.
That's
create a perfect alley for Singletary to run through. And then obviously, like I said before, Singletary does the rest to finish it off and get across the goal line.
Yeah, it's just a great play. And the whole slow, quick, it reminds me, this play specifically reminds me of another 26, which was Le'Veon Bell in his prime. This was exactly how he would run the football. Now, he was physically much larger, kind of like that bell cow back that I was talking about before. But it's the patience and the vision like this, and then that ability to, once you see where you need to go, to shoot through it like that. It's just such an important trait, and it's such an important thing to have as a running back, to have that vision and that acceleration.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, one more for Singletary. And this was late game. This is the Bills are chewing the clock out at the end of the game. It's the fourth quarter. This was on the last drive here, and this is just all Singletary, really. I mean, the play, it's not a designed cutback play. This is truly a designed zone read going, zone run going this way. He sees a big mass in front of him. He decides to cut it back. And what I love about this, and I really, it sucks that we didn't have the end zone cam from this. So if we get taken down at any point, someone just yell at us real quick. But yeah, so I wish we could see it, because he's making this end man on the line of scrimmage miss, because of course it's Rick Bates there. He's not expecting Devin Singletary to cut it back, so he's not trying to seal off the edge here. He's trying to push his guy this way. He thinks Devin's going that way. So or excuse me, that was Dawkins. Rick Bates over here. But anyway, he's making this guy miss, and he's just out of reach of this defensive end, and he's still already making his move for the guy for the next guy in front of him. And it's just his moves in the open field. He's just so small and shifty like that, where you really this would be everyone's worst nightmare. It would be absolutely my worst nightmare if I had this guy in front of me. I would just know that my ankles are about to get broken. And I think guys in the NFL are starting to feel the same way, because if you get him out in space like that, he's just so dangerous.
Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, like you said before, I mean, this play is all Singletary. Like with the design to the stretch to the top side, I think this is actually the play that Mark Sanchez claimed he got right and pulled a Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Which he did technically. I shouldn't take that away from him. But the point is, this was designed to go to the top side of the field. And honestly, it was clean on that top side just as much as it was for the cutback. Like you can see everyone's free. Like everyone is locked up. There's no one really running free for the Falcons to get to that top side of the field and deny Singletary the edge. But he sees that the entire defensive line has certainly over pursued. So it's going to make his getting the edge on that top side of the field a little bit more difficult. So he just plays it decisive. He cuts it back quickly. And this is where that the linking of vision attached to your footwork is so massive, because he sees it, diagnoses it quickly, and his feet do the rest. He just trusts his natural athleticism, and he gets out there on the edge. And like you said, yeah, you don't want to be squared up one-on-one with Devin Singletary, because now you don't know if he's going to lower his shoulder through you. And it's funny because that's also Sean Williams, or if he's going to juke you out. So it's kind of the catch-22. You're playing with number 26 now.
Yeah, and Sean Williams had a rough night against Singletary, but it's okay. He got back at Josh and gave him a big shot. So he got his payback there. I do want to bring up Silas Whittle has a comment here that I'm going to bring up. Thank you for the super chat, Silas. I've been saying this since it was preseason. Motor is RB1. Breida is only RB1 on Madden. I can agree with that. Madden top speed is probably the most important trait that you can have in your running back in that game. So I agree as well. And even in the preseason, that's what I was saying. I thought based on the way that he looked in the preseason, he was looking really fast and shifty. And I talked to him, Bot and I talked to him before the season. We talked about his off-season training and what he was looking forward to in the season, and the stuff that he was working on. And it was really promising. And I'm really glad to see that it all paid off for him, because I think he's having probably the best, maybe not statistically the best season of his career, because he did have a fantastic rookie season statistically speaking. But he looks like he's playing his best football so far this season. It's been really nice.
It's kind of crazy to think back on his time in Buffalo. Man, every time. It's crazy, though, to think back of his time in Buffalo and the fact that he might have been, through his entire time being on the Buffalo Bills, the best running back on the roster every single year, including his rookie year. Because wasn't his rookie year the year that Shady McCoy was let go and Frank Gore was somehow taking carries away from him, even though Singletary looked like the better back? He was the more efficient back. But obviously, you trust the vet. I mean, McDermott has been known to trust the veterans a little bit more and be a little skittish about throwing rookies into the fire too soon. He's since probably pulled back on that a little bit, but it still stands true. I feel like Singletary now and then, he's the best running back on the team. And especially after a game like this, I'm happy to be wrong, because Moss, as good as honestly I thought he looked in this game,
he did
Singletary
look
looked better. It's just the fact at this point Singletary is the better back. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do this offseason to complement him, or if they'll do anything to complement him this offseason. But yeah, that's I guess a conversation for another time.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool that we've gotten to the point, at least I've gotten to the point, where if the Bills don't go out and get a pure number 2, or go out and get a guy that they think could be a bell cow back, if they don't do that this offseason, I'm okay. As long as they're addressing other issues that need to be addressed, of course, because they have a history of maybe fixating themselves on one position or best man available type of mentality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be too upset at all if going into next season Devin Singletary is RB1 again. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah, neither do I. All right, so I'll jump into. I got lazy. I got lazy this week. I did co MVPs. I other than like what 5 plays, there probably wasn't an LVP. There were just like 5 plays that really gave the Falcons the points that they got. So I wasn't gonna pick an LVP, and there were a lot of people that played well, but there were 2 guys that specifically stood out to me. And the first, well, I'm gonna go over Mitch Morse first because we just went over the run game, and I feel like it flows better to continue with the run game. So we're going to talk about Mitch Morse here. And honestly, Mitch Morse was just so active in the poll game. He was, yeah, here you go, John. Like the offensive line was pulling all over the place. Like we've seen them try to do outside zone runs all year and all last year. And we've seen some mixing in of the pin and pull. And recently, we've really seen it come to life. And this is just Josh Allen's first rushing touchdown on that first drive that just seemingly took forever to score the touchdown. But this isn't anything crazy ridiculous by Mitch Morse. You can see, I mean, he's just getting out in space and he's using his natural athleticism to literally lead Josh in the end zone. Obviously, I think we all have faith that if Josh gets hit here at the 3-yard line by number 21 there, he's still falling in the end zone. But the point remains, Mitch Morse getting from the center position in time to lead Josh Allen into the end zone. That's really what I'm highlighting here. The athleticism and the fleet of foot that Mitch Morse is to get out in space and still have that power with him and lead with momentum and be that lead blocker for Josh, and not only Josh, but multiple people, because we showed it on that Singletary run. He's all over the place, man. He was doing a lot of dirty work this game, and he was really good in this game.
Yeah, I love Mitch Morse, man. I think he's maybe had 2 rough games all season, and every other game he's been the best offensive lineman on the field for the most part. If not, it's him and Dawkins are the 2 guys out there playing the best football in the front there. He's just had a fantastic season, so consistent. The blocking calls that he calls out, he's the leader of that offensive line, and I think I'm so happy that we were able to pick him up. Once Eric Wood wasn't able to play anymore, it was kind of who's going to be the next guy to step in at center. And Mitch Morse is a great replacement. As much as I loved Eric Wood, and I wish he could still have been around for a couple more years, Mitch Morse is a really good replacement. I've been very happy with the way that he's been playing so far. Yeah,
I'm glad that we finally found a way to get him into film session, because he's been having a good year, but obviously hasn't been talked about all that much. Right. So this is a play in pass protection where, I mean, honestly, this is a very unique type of pass protection where he's just kind of free in the middle. And this is not the first time that this happened, where he picks up an edge rusher just because of his awareness. Like, I don't think this is how the protection is drawn up. He's not drawn up to pull to the right C gap and pick up an edge rusher. He's just he's designed to pick up that middle area. And just because him and Rick Bates are there with no work to do, he finds work. He sees an extra man on the edge and he seals him off. And then obviously Josh makes the rest of this. And that's really what I wanted to focus on here. I'm not here to say that Josh wouldn't make a play if 45 comes off the edge and, Josh can't do something, step up into the pocket to the left. But this play is made easier with more sealing that edge and allowing Josh to escape to his right, which we know he loves to do. And then this is also just a beautiful window throw by Josh to just throw it in there on the move in between 3 Falcons, the first one in the first level here, and then those 2 in the second level. It's just an all-around great play that I don't want to say this was completely saved by Mitch Morse, but it's a great effort from Mitch Morse, and you can see how it all comes together to form the positive outcome that we got on this play.
Yeah, this is just such a heads-up play, and I think this goes to show how smart and how aware Mitch Morse is of what's going on in front of him and why he really has command over that offensive line. Because if you're able to, can you pause it like right before the play starts? Yeah, right here. Oh, there's so many guys in 2-point stances at the line of scrimmage right here. I don't know if anyone up there is in a 3-point stance. Everyone is just in a 2-point. So anyone could be going, anyone could be rushing, all of them could be rushing. And so it's all about you have to react as soon as the snap comes. And since there's extra guys in there, for all he knows, he could have to pick up one of those guys, but he knows there's extra guys on the outside too. So based on the blocking call that he made, he has to figure out what he's got to do after the snap. And I think they might have put themselves in a situation where it's, hey, if my guys drop out, I need to help on the outside because we don't actually have anyone blocking that guy at the moment because we have too many guys to block in general. So I'm going to take this guy in front of me if he comes. If not, I have to go help on the edge because no one's there. And I think that's my guess as to what happens here. And he just reacts to it quickly. He knows where the guy is that he has to go and help out is, and he is athletic enough to drop his back leg there and go and get him. It's just such a good play from Mitch Morse on this one.
Yeah, this one really screams awareness more than anything else. All right, so let's get to this next one. I believe this is another run rep here, and it's another polling play. But this is one specifically I'm furious we don't have all 22 for because it's a 4-yard run. Like this, there's nothing sexy about this. It's a 4-yard run. But you can see that he finagles his way into that B gap there, and he is the lead blocker for Singletary on this play. And you can see him get into that B gap and then once again seal off middle linebacker Dion Jones, give a clear alley for Singletary. I wish I had more for you on this play, but that's all I got with this angle. It's a good play just to get into the hole quickly so Singletary doesn't have to spend too much time in the backfield and he can then get up past the line of scrimmage with some momentum and some determination and then fight for the extra yards. You can see he gets hit around 2 yards right there. And if Morse didn't get through the hole quickly, he could have been hit at 0 yards and only gotten 2 instead of being hit at 2 yards and getting 4. So not an amazing play, nothing really sexy about this play, but it is impressive.
We are down at the moment. I just realized.
Every day, man.
Yep. I've got us on the other monitor. Oh, we are back up now, I guess.
I'll have to see that. All right, I'll get on to the next play. But what did you think about, obviously, they're all going to be very similar, just the polling Mitch Morse nature.
Yeah, I mean, I love when first of all, how the Bills are able to use Mitch Morse to pull and get out. Were we not down? We were down on my screen. I'm so sorry, guys. That was maybe some kind of technical difficulty on my end, but I was being cautious there. But anyway, yeah, so I love the fact that they're even able to use Mitch Morse to pull like that and to get on the outside. Yeah, the fact that he's able to do it, first of all, and then the fact that he does it so effectively, and they use those runs really well. And like I've said before, I don't really think that the Bills' offensive line is made to do those zone run blocking schemes when it's a hat on a hat. They're not good at that. You have to use some kind of scheme in order to get them out there, and that's a scheme that works for them. And I love it when he's able to get out there and run and hit somebody.
We're gonna show it again. It's a different play, but it's the same play. Like this is more or less the same thing going on. Once again, Mitch Morse here. Only difference here. This is Zach Moss. Obviously, we all know our arguments with Zach Moss are vision. It's vision, but we see it here. There's really not much to read on this play. It's you follow your polling blockers and you get out to the edge and you get downhill. And that's all he has to do on this play. And Mitch Morse makes life easy because he gets around that edge. And you can see right here, he completely seals off that edge for him. There is no getting touched right here at the line of scrimmage. You focus on getting your ass to the line of scrimmage and you get your momentum going upfield. And that's what Zach Moss does on this play. And then he uses what he's best at, his power and momentum. And he gets met at the first down sticks and he fights through it. And that's really why I like this play so much from Mitch Morse, because he allows Zach Moss to get into the strengths of his game because he kept a clean running lane for him.
Yeah, and Dion Dawkins too. Both of those guys did a really good job of just creating a wall to kind of wall off those guys on the inside and allow Zach Moss to get around the edge. Dion had a great play here. I don't know if this counts as a pancake or not, but his guy ends up on the ground. So yeah, Dion here has a great play. Morse coming around the edge and sealing things off. It's just really, really well executed. And yeah, like you said, this is a great Moss play. You don't have to read anything and just turn the corner and run as fast as you can and then go hit somebody. And yeah, well executed.
That's what he likes to do. He likes to embrace that contact. All right, so here's another one, and this is yet another pull. It's another pull to the front side of the play, but this one specifically, I really thought was his quickest pull of the day. He doesn't loop so much. He gets upfield super quickly here. And the reason I like this so much is because you can see Deion Jones is playing very downhill on this play. And if Morse doesn't get to that second level to hit Sean Williams again, if he doesn't get to that second level so quickly to hit Sean Williams, once again, we're in a scenario where Singletary isn't allowed to create that momentum at the line of scrimmage. He's still kind of waiting for the gap to develop. But because of how quickly Morse gets to that second level and Gabe Davis get to the second level, he can turn on the Jets quickly in the backfield and have his momentum with him as he's crossing the line of scrimmage instead of after he's crossing the line of scrimmage. And I think Mitch Morse is a big part of that.
Yeah, and it's hard to say who exactly Morse was supposed to go for, I guess. I mean, I don't really have a problem with what he did, but it would have been nice if he
got
inside
Jones
just a tad. But I do see that Spencer Brown is also kind of pulling as well on this one. At least he's kind of working his way inside. So that could have been a guy that was there designed for Spencer Brown to pick up. But it's hard to tell, especially since Gabe Davis is in there with kind of a crackback block as well. Regardless, yeah, very good. And once again, showing that athleticism. Yeah, cool play design too. I feel like this isn't something they usually do where they they have the tackle kick out and then they run kind of a sweep. It's because it's like not exactly a pin and pull. I guess you could kind of say it is in a way, but yeah, because you're pinning with a different guy and not the guy that you usually would pin with. So yeah, it's a pretty cool play design as well. So, hats off to Brian Dable.
Yep. Never enough hats off for Brian Dable. But who is your next player to highlight? And then we will get back to my co-MVP.
All right. Let me get over to where his plays start. Still in slow motion. That's why it took so long. My guy, Greg Rousseau, I wanted to highlight him as well because I think he had a fantastic game. And this first play, this one was the loudest, obviously, from Greg Rousseau's day. And really, I was just happy that he finally got one to land. And, hopefully this is a first of many strip sacks that we see from him on the right side in his career because he's on the ball side for a lot of quarterbacks. So I love how he gets his hand in there. He doesn't necessarily win the rep initially, but he keeps working. And this is how he won a lot of his reps in college and got a lot of his sacks in college. It was he never stopped on his pass rush. He kind of gets pushed upfield a little bit. The tackle does a good job here, taking away his upfield hand and pushing him upfield. But Rousseau keeps fighting through it. He keeps fighting, gets there and knocks the ball out and, recovered by the Bills. And yeah, I was just very, very happy with him on this play because he puts in a lot of work. He makes a lot of stops in the run game, but people don't really hear his name a lot in the pass rush. So it's nice to see him finally get this one.
Yeah, this one is an especially good play from him because, someone that's 6'7", it's tough to dip and bend around that edge. Like, I don't know how often we're really going to see that from him in his entire career. It's going to be really tough for him to dip and bend around the edge. It's tough when you're that tall. But you see, he's winning with the way, like you said, that he won in college. It's just effort, motor, grit, determination. It's all of that stuff. And you can see he's so determined with that right arm to keep his body clean. He is fighting with those hands of 76 to make sure that 76 doesn't get his hands on that right shoulder. And because of that, he keeps himself clean enough to bend around the edge, albeit it's not the cleanest arc that he's running, but he gets there. And yes, it's somewhat of a microcosm of, Matt Ryan having cement blocks attached to his feet. But at the same time, he still got there. And not every quarterback is going to be the, Michael Vicks, the Lamar Jacksons. Not every quarterback is going to be able to escape pressure the same way. Every quarterback is created differently. So if he can land sacks on these guys and stop run plays and other downs, we still got ourselves a nice guy.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, but just been loving what I'm seeing from him, and sky's the limit for him. He's having a great season, although slightly quiet, he's having a fantastic season.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, these replays are really long. Oh, there's another one we can watch from this view as well. At least the broadcast view has many angles for some of these replays.
Right?
That's the only
using the full game replay, because I use the condensed, and then I'm like, right, they have replays.
I write down all my timestamps and make sure I go through and check for replays, because they have some cool views sometimes. This is I think I have 4 plays, so this is number 3 from me from Rousseau here, but this is a really good run defense rep from the backside. First of all, his reaction time and understanding and what this play is right from the time of the snap is really, really impressive. I want to slow it down right from the beginning. It's a zone read, and he, just like the entire offensive line, is immediately flying down the line of scrimmage as if he knew the play himself. So very, very impressive there to get the kind of start that he did, and then just to work his way across the line of scrimmage like that and get himself a tackle out of it. I mean, you know, the everyone else on that side of the line did a very good job. Eli Anku, I think, he's doing very well for a guy that got signed and brought up halfway through the season. I think he's been playing very, very well for that kind of a player. I'm not saying he's an MVP or anything.
Not
like
quite
that.
a Rasul Douglas, but
but he's definitely playing much better than I think anyone expected him to, and I've been very pleased. He's better than Brian, in my opinion, anyway. So you know, I guess there's that. But yeah, this is a great play from Rousseau to just kind of, get that arm in there, get that wrong arm through, work your way across the line of scrimmage and make a nice play here.
I feel like in the run game, he's been making 2 types of plays, and it's the stack and shed plays of either the tight end or the tackle, and just kind of shedding at the right time and then using his long arms to kind of swallow the running back through the gap. Or it's this where he's just, I don't want to say he's unblocked on this play, but a lot of times he's on the backside of a outside zone and he's just running it down. He's just chasing down the outside zone. And once again, you see that motor coming through. Obviously, this isn't like, chasing down 15 yards or anything like that, but it's still an impressive play coming from the backside of the formation to catch up to a Cordero Patterson, albeit him being stopped in the gap, being helped out by his teammates. But hey, it's an 11-man defense. Everyone's got to do their part.
I'm sorry. I'm smiling because Paul Koss is back.
Dude, I saw. Yeah. Did you see practically 10 seconds? You want to go back? I saw it, but as you started this play, but I wasn't going to make you go back. Let's everyone get out their stopwatches here for this Matt Ryan sack, this QB self sack. I don't know about you guys, but I
had maybe 4.5.
I don't know if this eclipses 5 seconds. So yes, you're probably being hyperbolic, and yes, this may be a coverage sack.
I do think it's partially a coverage sack as well, because he had to first of all go to his second read, and then his second read wasn't open either because he pump faked there. So it's partially a coverage sack, but someone still had to be there to make the play.
Relationship between defensive line play and secondary play. You can't just say that this sack is discredited because the secondary did their job. It's once again, it's 11-man defense.
I'm sure none of TJ Watt's sacks this season have been due to any good coverage on the back end of the defense.
All right, moving on. Mr.
Yeah, sorry. We had to talk about it because Paul Kost is in the chat. Anyway, skipping forward. Last Greg Rousseau play here. It's another run defense, which has been his bread and butter this season. And this one is just, it's a good play, first of all, from Ed Oliver, too. Also had a great game. Most of the defensive front played fantastically this game. And Ed Oliver's been a beast. Just as a disclaimer, Ed Oliver probably could have been mentioned, talked about, highlighted every game this season except maybe a couple, because he's had a fantastic season. I love the way that he's been playing. But yeah, Greg Rousseau here, he doesn't get blocked, and that's by design. He's not supposed to be able to make a play on this. But first of all, because Ed Oliver is a beast and slows down Cordero Patterson in the backfield, Greg Rousseau is able to capitalize on that by being big and athletic himself and getting downhill right from the snap. not really hesitating. He waits, I think, a split second just to make sure that there's no cutback from Cordell Patterson, which I like, because that's certainly a possibility from an athlete like that.
Yes.
But yeah, he gets downhill and takes advantage of Cordell Patterson having to slow down a step. Even if he doesn't have to, I think he forces some kind of action back there because he's big and long, and maybe, gets a hand on a leg or something like that to slow him down and let some of his other guys come up and make the tackle. So yeah, it's just another one of those plays where he's just being advantageous and taking advantage of what he's got in front of him.
I really like what you said about how patient he is about getting downhill on this play, because you're absolutely right with the kind of, I guess we're calling him a running back, Cordell Patterson, with the way that he is with the ball in his hands, you don't know where he's going to end up. And if you crash too hard on that backside of this run, he's just going to take it to the other side of the field where it's not designed, like Devin Singletary did on that other stretch run to the top side of the field where he took it to the bottom side of the field. So it's a very heady play from a rookie to slow it down for a second, make sure he commits to his design run gap, and then fire your gun and go make the play. And yeah, like you said, Ed Oliver really assists on this play by pushing poor Jalen Mayfield, who had a tough week and really a tough season, into the backfield on this play. And I believe, was this not the set of downs? It might not have been, where Ed Oliver made 3 plays back to back to back and forced a 3-and-out more or less on his own with pressures.
I think he might have. That might have been the one where he was just going. There was, the one point in this game where he just took over. I can't remember. I don't think this was the trip sack.
I feel like it
drive.
probably. Yeah, I don't think it was, because I feel like they were more in their own territory, and they're clearly in Buffalo territory right here.
Right. Yeah. But regardless, great play by both of those guys. Ed Oliver is just a beast. I'd love to talk about him more, but I feel like I'm beating a dead horse sometimes because he's just always good.
Yeah, we're kind of fishing for anyone that isn't Ed Oliver at this point. Yeah, you could just watch our earlier episodes where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna talk about Ed Oliver for 4 straight weeks.
Do I have another? I have another Greg Rousseau play in here. I guess that was only the third one that I talked about.
I'll take it
anyway. This Greg Rousseau play is also good. This is another pass rush play where he's just coming off the edge. This is a better win, I think, and I'm so sad that he wasn't actually able to get the sack on this one. But he caused the pressure. He caused him to have to run outside the pocket, and it's a 4th and goal situation. This was the last time the Falcons offense touched the ball in this game. But yeah, I think it's a great pass rush. He ends up in the end of it being double teamed when that guard tries to find some extra work, but he does a really good job here with his hands initially getting into kind of a power rush, getting that tackle off balance and back on his heels, and then he's able to kind of slip past that double team a little bit, work his way around the outside.
Just a hair too wide on that.
Just a little bit. He gets an arm on him, maybe if he can wrap his other arm around and swing him down, but just out of reach. It was a fairly athletic move from for Matt Ryan anyway to be able to dodge that one. But yeah, I still wanted to put this in there because I felt like it was a pretty good pass rush given the circumstances still.
And that's the point. It's like what I was saying earlier, we're really not going to see him dip and bend around the edge like you would see a speed rusher. This is really where his game is going to be refined. This bull rush into a bend move around that arc. This is it. This is where he's going to refine his pass rush game, because it's essentially going to be this. It's going to be that bull rush, that long arm, using his hands to get the offensive lineman's elbow up in the air and then get his chest plate clean so he can rush around the edge. Those kind of things, that's how he's going to win around the edge. It's different from other guys that aren't 6'7" with long ass arms, but this is where you see it budding. This is laying that seed for what he is to become. And you can see there is some juice there. There's something, there's no pun intended, Clay, but there's some clay to be molded here. So it is really encouraging what we're seeing from him this season.
Yeah, and I'm just excited to see what he's going to be able to do in the future, especially because we didn't expect him to be as good as he is this season. So it's going to be really cool to see kind of how he develops and the kind of player that he turns into.
That being said, well wishes to Boogie Basham, because we really missed on that one. We really thought he was going to be the more pro-ready one. That being said, things can change. I mean, nothing's set in stone. But obviously, to this point, Groot's looked like the more pro ready one. There's
Yeah.
no other way to put it. He just has.
Yeah, and then all those, all the coaches have been saying he's a fast learner.
All
He
that
he
stuff.
does all the right things, and then the physical gifts that he has, I think, kind of exceed what Boogie has available to him as well. And
Right.
Rousseau understands how to use those gifts to win his reps. So good
Right.
for him for that.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so I'm going to move on to my other co-MVP, and we're going to have some overlapping plays. Maybe it's only one, but it's Harrison Phillips. And this is also another like beating a dead horse thing. I swear I've talked about Harrison Phillips for the past like 4 or 5 weeks, but can you blame me? The dude deserves it. Harrison Phillips has been balling out recently, and I mean, people want to see him play more consistent football, but he's doing it. Like, this is it. He's playing more consistent football. We see him here. I can't tell for sure, but it looks like he's lined up in a 3-tech position with Oliver more in that 1-tech 2-eye. And we see him on this play. He's not really shooting himself into the backfield here, but he's establishing and staying with that line of scrimmage. And then once again, it's Oliver making a play on the backside and Phillips making sure that that line of scrimmage doesn't get penetrated by the offense. And what do you think about keeping Oliver and Phillips together in this interior of the defensive line? Because to me, that is our best duo on the interior this season. They look really sharp together, and this is a prime example of it.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, because I think both of them have different physicalities where, Harrison
They
Phillips obviously
complement each other.
exactly. He's a bigger dude where he can kind of anchor and at a certain point stop losing ground. And he's getting pretty good at that. And he can also work his way across the line of scrimmage very well. He doesn't usually do too much of penetrating past the line of scrimmage, working side to side along it. He's very, very good at, though, and kind of holding his ground while he's there. Ed Oliver is the type of guy who shoots off the ball and gets penetration. Ed Oliver has, I just saw a tweet about this earlier, where Ed Oliver has one of the highest percentages of double teams in the league. From any defensive lineman, which is crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it also kind of makes sense, because who else are you going to double team? And I think Harrison Phillips has been able to take advantage of that, even though Harrison Phillips is the one getting double teamed here. He's able to work his way across the line of scrimmage, which he does so well, while not losing any ground, and then also kind of getting in the way enough to where Ed Oliver is able to come underneath and make the tackle. Even if Ed Oliver's not there, those guys stopped blocking Harrison Phillips anyway, and he kind of worked his way through. And yeah, he's just a workhorse. I really like him, and it's nice to kind of finally see him bloom a little bit.
Yeah, I see. Also, Chris Janke coming in with some light sarcasm here. Always appreciate the light sarcasm when it comes to Tremaine Edmonds here. Nothing crazy special, but he is there to make the play, and it does speak to how defensive line play and linebacker play are somewhat, well, one is more codependent than the other, of course, linebacker play being more dependent on defensive line play. But this is an example of it. I mean, you need to have clear lanes to run through to shoot the gaps and make plays in the backfield if you're Edmonds, and good defensive line play is going to help you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And not much else to say other than that.
All right, so let's get on to the next Harrison Phillips play, and I believe this is the Rousseau strip sack fumble. When I watched this live, I was so giddy with how Harrison Phillips was rushing the passer on this play. He is just absolutely manhandling Jalen Mayfield here, just pure bull rush right through him, gets Matt Ryan off of his spot. Yes, this might be a coverage sack, Paul Costa, but he can't go through his reads and progressions the way he wants to because Harrison Phillips pressures him first. He has to reset, find his reads on the bottom side of the field, and then Rousseau is there to make the sack. It takes all 11 guys playing well on defense to make a great play, and this is an example of that. Everyone is doing their job. Everyone is covered. We get pressure from 2 different guys on the Bills' 4-man rush here, and it turns into a strip. And of course, Phillips gets rewarded with that strip sack fumble recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even I think Mark Sanchez was the one talking about how awesome it was for him to get rewarded. The play before this, the announcers were saying how Harrison Phillips had referred to himself as a fire hydrant at a dog park sometimes because he's just there to, to get in the way and be a nuisance. And sometimes that results on you kind of just getting pissed on a little bit. So it's nice for him to do a little bit of the pissing here and get a treat afterwards. So yeah, it was really cool to see this one.
For the record, I think these two plays I just showed were back-to-back plays.
I think they were. Yeah. So it was the play that he made a really good play. They talked
this
about
here
fire
run
hydrant,
play.
and
they're talking about the fire hydrant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he gets the pressure. Yep. It goes to show, yes, he is getting more and more consistent. And it does speak to what you were saying with Ed Oliver commanding more of those double teams, leaving him to get those one-on-ones. And if he's left one-on-one with a rookie left guard and Jalen Mayfield, he's going to make him look silly. That being said, if it's a higher caliber left guard, we might see a little bit more resistance for letting Harrison Phillips into the backfield, but that test will be seen at a later date. Probably not this week against the Jets, but maybe in the playoffs. But I'm eager for that, I gotta say. I want to see how he continues. All right, so this next play here from Harrison Phillips, nothing crazy exceptional on this play other than just good motor, way to stick with the play, get the hurry, force the ball out, and of course it causes an incompletion. So really nothing like crazy spectacular. I mean, yes, good handwork right here. You see he gets that left hand on that right arm of Jalen Mayfield, cleans up his chest plate, and then allows him to go around that edge and then get the hurry hit and knock down on Matt Ryan and forces the incompletion. So nothing crazy. Another example of kind of Matt Ryan holding on to the ball probably longer than he should, but that's the nature of being an older pocket passer where you don't really have that improvisational skill. It's just you're going to get sacked more, you're going to get hit more in the pocket, and that's just the long and short of it.
Yeah, and for like it's a great athletic play too for him to get around the edge like that so quickly from the time that he's able to break free. And then another thing that I love about this is he hits Matt Ryan, but he hits him cleanly and legally.
Yeah,
which is very hard to do these
which
days.
We've been having trouble with.
Yes, yeah, but I love that he's able to get in there and he gives him a good shot too. It's a good hit. He hits him hard, lets him know, hey, stop holding on to the ball for that long, and because if you don't, we're going to be here to hit you, but no penalty flags on the play. Really, really awesome. He's just a grinder, man. People made a lot of the Kyle Williams comparisons early in his career because they looked alike and because Kyle Williams' son's name was Harrison, and it's the big white guy in the one tech spot who's just a workhorse, and we're kind of finally seeing a little bit of that.
Yeah, we really are. And Liam comes in here saying that Epinesa is getting held. I don't know if this is an egregious hold. I will say it looks like it at the tail end of it right there. But I really wanted to pull that out because I thought Epinesa played pretty well. He made a couple of splash plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely played a really good game. And as far as the holding goes, I will say, because I also watched a lot of the lines when I was going through this game, there was a lot of borderline holding, I think, in this game that didn't get called. And I think, honestly, there were a couple Bills players that benefited from it a lot. As much as there were Falcons players that were getting away with it as well. I think I actually kind of liked the way that they were calling the game where it was like, you can go a little bit physical with each other and that's okay. We're not going to call it type of a thing. So I didn't have a problem with it. I'd rather that than have them call it uneven at least,
Yeah, uneven or excessively. I agree. Having it consistently a little bit more lenient, I'm definitely okay with. All right, so on this one, we see him lining up. I believe this is more the 3-tech role because Eli Anku is playing the 1-tech on the right side of the defensive line right here. So we got Harrison at the 3-tech up here. And this isn't a crazy play either, but we see him stacking that right guard there and trying to shed at the point of attack. And he does. He sheds at the point of attack, but there is a slight hold right there. And I mean, it's not going to get called. It like we literally just went over, but he does get his arms around Cordero Patterson and helps get that tackle on this play. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing world beating from Harrison Phillips, but it's just doing your job. It's stacking, running and flowing with the flow of traffic on this run design and staying in your run gap. he helps make this play with who is that? Is that it's Anku. And like we highlighted earlier, Anku has been having a quietly nice season in relief of the Bills' interior defensive line as needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's honestly not even much more for me to add. It's just a nice physical play, and yeah, that little bit of hold in there. You know, it's inside. He's in a big mess of people, so it's not usually going to get called, and that's the nature of the position that Harrison Phillips is playing. But yeah, it's a great play from both those guys on the inside.
100%. So we will get on. I believe this is the last one. I could be wrong. There might be one more. We'll see. But on this play, this is just a clear beating of Jalen Mayfield. Once again, like, yes, this probably should have been called for tripping. I'm pretty sure that's technically a penalty. But there was a hold before. I don't know if it takes precedence, if the hold takes precedence over the trip, or if it's offsetting or whatever it is. But either way, what I wanted to highlight is the fact that Harrison Phillips just won his pass rushing battle. Like, that's really what it comes down to here. You see him lined up in a wide set. Like, this is a wide 4 interior 4 eye technique. This is not what we're used to seeing from Harrison Phillips. And he comes right across the face of Jalen Mayfield with a nice inside move, kind of looping around and spiking inside. And there's just nothing he can do at this point. He's just grabbing his arm. And at that point, what else is Harrison to do other than he's off balance, throw his leg out there? And like we kind of mentioned earlier, Matt Ryan's got those cement blocks attached to his legs, so he's going to fall over. So really, yes, it's not sexy because he's not getting the clear, obvious sack on this play, but the way he uses his quickness and athleticism to spike inside on this play and really make Jalen Mayfield look silly with his footwork. If you look right, he's gone. He's dead. That's Snow. He's dead. He's KO.
That is a wide base right there to be doing in the snow like that. Maybe you want to narrow that stance a little bit when it's slick out there.
But at the end of the day, he wins the battle, and that's really all you got to do if you're Harrison Phillips in this situation. I'm pretty sure this was a first down, and they had the dogs with their ears pinned back on this first down going after Matt Ryan here, because I believe it was late in the game where they probably knew they were passing the ball.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, the whole, it's funny watching it from the broadcast view just to see exactly how quickly this pocket collapses on Matt Ryan, because it is instantaneous. Both of the edge rushers, Epinesa and Rousseau, are both flying around the edges. There's nowhere for Matt Ryan to go. I think even if he climbs the pocket, he gets tackled by Ed Oliver right after, because he's about to shed the block from 61, who's just barely holding on for dear life as well. So really, I think all 4 of these guys won the rep probably as best as they could. Matt Ryan can't drop backward. He gets sandwiched between the 2 edge rushers. He can't go forward because Ed Oliver's there, and Harrison Phillips' leg is there, which, if he doesn't get held, he's making the sack anyway. So exactly. I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, this is just a great play, and yeah, show a little bit of that athleticism, that change of direction, and then get upfield like that. He looks like Stephon Diggs getting past the defensive back on this play.
Clean release from Harrison Phillips on this play. All right, so that's all I got from Harrison Phillips. That's actually all I got because I only picked 2 guys as co-MVPs this week.
All right, then I will talk about my last guy, and that's Dion Dawkins. We're taking it back to the offensive line. I know people want to talk about it. Some people want us to talk about Rick Bates, but Morse and Dawkins had the better games. Rick Bates played well.
He did.
I think a lot of the offensive linemen, most of the offensive linemen had pretty good games. So, Dawkins, I think, was really, really up there. He had such a solid game. Honestly, there are so many plays in here that I didn't include that were great plays, but it's just him on the perimeter holding his guy right in front of him, just not moving, So there were a lot of those plays where he did a fantastic job in pass blocking and pass sets, but it was just such a boring play because he's just doing exactly what he's supposed to do, and the other guy can't do anything. So I didn't put those in. I put in the more fun stuff at least. So we're gonna go through some of that stuff. I put in the a little bit of pre-snap stuff here because I wanted to show that they knew that this guy was coming because I love the play, and it's
Oh
another
yeah, I remember
Morse
this.
highlight here, just a little
I
bit.
almost used this.
I know I had to double check because you sent me the plays you used for Morse, and
Yeah, I
I
almost used
double
this.
checked on this one. I was like, oh wow, he didn't use this one. Cool. But yeah, so first of all, fantastic job once again by Mitch Morse to understand the assignments that everyone has around him, including himself, and knowing that no one has that guy on the outside if he does choose to blitz, and that's his guy to go and get. So good job from Morse there. But also, we got to talk about a pancake block here from Dion Dawkins. He gets a little bit of help from the inside there. I think who's that? Grady Jarrett. I think he maybe trips over
Yeah,
Grady
a little
Jarrett a
bit.
little bit, which kind of helps him out. But that's still a pancake in my book. And then Dion Dawkins at the end of the line of scrimmage here. Great change of direction and athleticism. First of all, because they believe that's Fowler out there, is on the outside first, cuts back in. Dawkins makes the adjustment, pushes him inside just like he's supposed to, and pushes him into traffic, so he's allowed to pancake him and make his job a lot easier. So yeah, just a fantastic play. This was also a huge play in general. This is 3rd and 10, just inside the red zone, and this is obviously the Gabe Davis toe tap play, which is a fantastic catch as well.
Seriously. Yeah, this play from Dion Dawkins, though, when you juxtapose this with the Jalen Mayfield slipping on the turf, this is really where you see that athleticism, the footwork, and the recovery skills where you're not getting too wide. You're not setting too wide in this where you understand your protection responsibilities. And he doesn't get too wide here, and he sees the inside move. He recovers and gets his hands on Dante Fowler very quickly, and then fights through that contact and pushes him through the point of attack, and obviously pushes him down into the turf. But yeah, I really like the way he recovered off the initial set that he had. It shows that fleet of foot, that footwork, and that recovery skills.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's much more to add to that, but we can move on to the next one, I think, here. And I think I put in some run blocking as well. That's really what I wanted to highlight, because he had a great day run blocking.
This
as
is
well.
The one that was all over Twitter, wasn't
Yes,
it?
this one's been all over Twitter. You've probably seen this one, because how could you not highlight a play like this? Dion Dawkins gets running, and 34 is a dead man walking as soon as he sees big number 73 running like a freight train down the field. He's moving too. Dion's a huge dude, man. That I'll tell you, I've sat at a table with the guy, and the size of his calves alone, I'm pretty sure his calves are bigger than my thighs, and I'm 6'1", 180 pounds. So I'm not a small guy. He is a massive human being, and he is absolutely moving it to the outside and athletic enough to get out there and not let 34 try to get around him or even plant himself at all to set this edge. This is all Dion Dawkins here. And if there was a maybe a little bit of a better block from Reggie Gilliam, and I'm not going to say that it was an easy block for him to make. He had to really get upfield and seal it, but Devin Singletary would get a few more yards maybe and make a nice play. But it's just a fantastic play from Dion Dawkins here, and it's just something that you love to see.
Honestly, I really like this play design more than anything. The way that we have the jet motion right flowing against the grain of where this play is supposed to go.
Yeah.
And then the pull front with Kumaro. I'm not going to call it a crack block, but it's kind of like an extended pin and pull in a way, where Kumaro is getting to the second level, pinning that linebacker there. And then Dawkins is responsible for the outside man. And then Gilliam is coming through to clear anything that comes up in terms of traffic for Singletary. I feel like we've seen this play before. Like I know for a fact we've seen this play before, but I'm not sure we've seen it with a fullback. We've definitely seen the action with the jet sweep motion going against the grain of where the play is supposed to go. Then that neat little like shuffle pass to the running back, little pitch play out to the D gap. But I don't know if we've seen it with a fullback. And I feel like because our running backs lack speed, obviously, outside of Breida, it helps to have that fullback there to ensure that if you can't get the edge on your own, you might have a cutback lane because you have a fullback in front of you, or you have just a personal protector in front of you. So you can just lower your shoulder and run through your personal protector and get the yards to gain. So I really like this play design more than anything, but obviously I can't take anything away from that pancake block. I mean, look at that. The way he gets out in space there and just absolutely lays that's my draft crush too, Darren Hall, right on his ass. So yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, well, when the size difference is that big, you certainly want Dion Dawkins to be throwing guys around like that. But yeah, to pick him up off his feet like he almost does is super impressive. And I do want to pull up this comment because I thought the same thing actually, Don. In the other angle, which some people have posted the end zone camera on Twitter. If you can go and see that anywhere. McKenzie, as he's running across the field, he really looks like the Flash. He is a blur across the screen. He's so fast, which I thought was hilarious to see from the other angle. But yeah, the running away from the motion, this is something that the Bills offense was missing a lot in the early half of the season. So it's really cool to see that they're finally doing cool stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is again. Motion and a counterplay away from the motion. And this is another great play from Dawkins and man line of scrimmage here. Just driving. Yeah. How many yards upfield is he going to take his guy? And that's just something that is what you love to see. He's against a linebacker. You want to see him be physical and do things like this. And if you want to bring your linebacker up close to the line of scrimmage, you better be ready for him to get driven back like that. It's another great play design as well. That I'm a big fan of. You got Darrell Williams coming across for a little bit of a kick out block. Kind of almost like a trap. I guess it's more than it's a counter play truly, but to kind of leave that guy in the end man alone, have Darrell Williams come through and Dion Dawkins really leading the way. And then once again with the fullback to lead through and hit anybody else that's in the way, and 5-4 makes a pretty nice play to get past him and get the tackle here. But yeah, good, just a really good play. And I think this was also toward the end of the game. This was 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And so you're just running the football, trying to run the clock out. And on 2nd and 6, you get yourself another first down.
I don't mean to take anything away from Dion Dawkins. Yeah, he should have been a first down, but it is what it is. I don't mean to take anything away from Dion Dawkins on this play, but like there's so many people doing good things on this play.
Yes.
And that's the thing that's been missing with the run game. It takes we've heard the Bills talk about this too. Pass game and run game is different. You can have, 3 of your 5 guys on the offensive line winning their battles, and then Josh escapes pressure and just one of your wide receivers has to win a battle and you can get a completed pass. But in the run game, everyone's got to execute if you want that run gap to be clean for your running back. And you can see it on this play. Like you said, I mean, that kick out block from Darrell Williams is crucial. That is crucial. You are leaving that man free for a reason. If he gets upfield too quickly, it's a problem. But because of how fast Darrell Williams gets across the formation, it creates a bigger alley. If Darrell Williams is slower on this, that's a tighter alley for Singletary to get through. And then once again, I mean, Gilliam's setting up this play with the counter block. Like he's flowing with the counter run. He's faking right again, and then he's going left and cutting it back with Singletary. I mean, I can't understate how well he's been playing this year at fullback. He's quietly putting together a really nice season at fullback, but no one really cares because he's playing fullback. It's just kind of the nature of the position. You're kind of an unsung hero. But then, of course, you come back to Dion Dawkins, and I mean, this play could have gone as if Singletary makes the first man miss. This play really could have gone somewhere because Dawkins just pushed Deion Jones 8 yards past the line of scrimmage, and I know it's a linebacker, but he still pushed him 8 yards. So it's impressive work from everyone on the field.
Yeah, if you want to complain about it, how would you feel if Matt Milano or Tremaine Edmonds was getting pushed around like this?
Exactly.
It's for anyone who would like a little bit of a reference there. And I don't lie to me about how you'd feel about Tremaine Edmonds about it. But yeah, it's just a great play all around. And actually, I want to jump back real quick to the previous play. That's not it. To this play because Rick Bates actually does a really, really good job. He's one-on-one with Grady Jarrett and takes care of him on this play. So I wanted to point that out. He does have it's a very friendly play for him because it's going so far to the outside where he just has to keep Grady Jarrett contained kind of within the hashes if he can. Right. But he does a very, very good job of that still where Jarrett's not involved in the play. So, and that's a very, very good defensive tackle that they were double teaming most of the game trying to take care of him. And they said, Bates, go ahead, one-on-one, man. He's yours, and does a good job.
That's a really good point, because if Bates does a hair less on this play,
Mm-hmm.
Jarrett is there to tackle Singletary. Like,
Yep.
he's really not too far off from making this play. And it's really not that Bates did a bad job and that, you know, Jarrett is in the position he is because Bates did a bad job. It's just that Grady Jarrett is a really athletic specimen,
Yeah.
and he got out on the edge and was still close to making the play. So yeah, no, that was something I did not even notice on this play, because I was just focused on Singletary and the line to gain, and
Yeah.
obviously the pancake. But
Yeah, but that's all for me. That's all I got for Dawkins. And yeah, all around, like I said, I was pretty pleased with the whole game. The first half was a little bit meh and bleh, and some bad things happened, but they turned it around just the way I expected them to, and just the way that they should. And yeah, now it's on to a Jets team that's skill level about the same as the team that the Bills played last weekend. So, weather be damned, I feel like the Bills have a very good chance of going in and taking care of business. Zach Wilson's back. Of course, he's been playing good football. I think he's an incredible athlete. I actually really like what the Jets got going on. I think that they've got a bright future. They're not there yet, obviously, but I think that they've got a nice future ahead of them, and have themselves set up if they can kind of change the culture a little bit there, kind of like McDermott did. We'll see if how that goes, but yeah, it's all set up nicely for the Bills to win the division and get another playoff game in January in Buffalo.
Yeah, it really is all set up for them. Destiny is in their own hands. They just got to take care of business. I'd like to see them not fool around so much and try to practice things against these teams, because obviously going into the playoffs, you kind of do want to use these games as tune-up games and use them as ways to practice things that you're somewhat weak and deficient with. But at the same time, you kind of want to give your team some confidence that you can just go out and smoke these bad teams, which of course we didn't really do this past week. But what I will argue, as shaky as it might have felt in the first half, I felt like outside of 5 plays in the entire game, we were dominating. There really wasn't a sense of like, we should win this game the entire time, even going into halftime down 1. Like,
Yep.
I had no lack of confidence. Yes, it was because it was the Falcons, but also because we dominated that entire first half outside of just some stupid mistakes. And when you shoot yourselves in the foot like that, that's going to happen. You can't let those teams hang around like that. That's literally the recipe for letting bad teams hang around. So that's kind of why I don't want to see the Bills like practice things that they're deficient in this coming week. I want to see them obviously work on continuing the run game and things like that, because obviously that's going to be important going into January, going into the playoffs, playing in inclement weather, things like that. The run game's got to go if you're going to be a playoff team and a successful playoff team. But don't get too cute with it. We still got to win this game and control our own destiny.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Control your own destiny. You got to win the game, and that's it. That's all you got to do. Just go out there, win the game. It's a playoff game, and it's against a team that you should be able to beat. So yeah, I'm once again not too concerned. McDermott also has a great track record against rookie QBs. He was able to play a different one earlier in the season against the Jets. That didn't go very well for that rookie quarterback. So.
Right.
Or first, was he a rookie or was he just his first starts? I can't
actually
even remember.
I don't think he's a rookie.
Year,
actually, I think he might be second or third.
Yeah, he's been around, but it was his first playing time anyway.
Right.
But yeah, he put the Mike White GOAT conversation to rest, and maybe he'll stunt the growth a little bit of another promising quarterback in Wilson. So yeah, I mean, Pops just brought it up. Who do you want to play in the playoffs? And I guess I'll ask you that now, because the next time we talk, we'll know who we're playing in the playoffs.
Right.
So who would you most like and least like to see in the playoffs?
First round? We're talking first round, I take it?
First round, yeah. Because we don't know if they're going to make it to the second round yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a week-to-week game.
I feel like the team I want to see the least is still the Colts. Like, I don't want to see the Chiefs, and the Chiefs probably take the cake, but I don't even know if there's a mathematical way for us to play the Chiefs in the first round. And if there is, it's probably really improbable. So I'm just gonna speak in terms of my assumed prediction. I don't know where I'm going with this. But I don't really want to play the Colts. I don't think we're built to compete with the Colts in the best way. I feel like we really it's similar to the Patriots in the same vein where it's like the Patriots play a similar brand of football to the Colts, but I think the Colts do it a bit better because of obviously running back play, and not to slight at Damian Harris because I think he's a really good running back, but like Jonathan Taylor is Jonathan Taylor. That offensive line is that offensive line. And the improvisational skill of Carson Wentz versus Mac Jones, you got to tip the scales towards Carson Wentz in terms of improvisational skill alone, just isolating that. And then I think their weapons are a little bit better on offense. But that being said, we played the Colts without Edmonds or Starr, and Phillips wasn't playing his best. So, like, it could be different. But where I stand right now, I feel like the Colts is the team I don't really want to play, but I don't have a good answer because the AFC is just like, what the hell's going on this year? Like, the Bengals are hot, but they're overachieving. The Titans are good, but I feel like they've overachieved this year. I don't really know. Other than the Colts and the Chiefs, I'm really fine playing. Even the Colts or the Chiefs, I'm really fine playing anyone. The Bills can beat anyone. It's just who are they most probable to beat? And I feel like least probable to beat are probably the Colts and the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think Colts and Chiefs are the scariest. If Derrick Henry is healthy, that might be the Titans.
I'm still not that scared of the Titans. We're one QB
That's
sneak
true.
away from beating the Titans.
That is true. I think the Bills can beat the team. Definitely that worries me the most is the Colts, because I think that's the team that we're least able to force them to win by passing.
Right.
And that's the recipe for the Bills to win a game is you make the quarterback beat you, because you're a pass, because their pass defense is what they're best at. And to that point, actually, because Paul Costa wanted to pipe up about the whole Sean McDermott versus rookie things. Yeah, he's actually done really good against Mac Jones. The first game, they were so scared shitless to pass the ball that he only passed 3 times. The second time, he threw it for 13 completions out of like 30 attempts for like 130 and 2 picks. So yeah, he has a pretty good track record against rookie QBs. But anyway, yeah. So honestly, if we played the Patriots, that'd be one of the more comfortable ones for me. Just because you make Mac Jones beat you just like you did the last time you played him, and they're not going to be able to win if that's the case. The team that I would most like to play, I'd have to say, is probably the Raiders, just because overall their roster is the weakest.
If they get in,
it's weird scenarios where they're able to make it. If they win, they are in regardless.
Right.
So and they're playing a Chargers team that's hot and cold, and Derek Carr's a great quarterback. But to me, the Raiders and the Bengals, I think, are the two teams that I'm the least worried about, because their strengths are purely in passing the football, and the Bills' biggest strength is stopping the pass. So I think matchup wise, those are the two best matchups for the Bills. And then obviously the teams that are stronger in the run game, like the Colts, like the Titans with Derrick Henry, those are the teams that scare me the most. So
I think it's also a long shot, but because you brought up the Raiders, I'm curious, do you want a rematch against the Steelers if it's possible?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Why not?
I mean, it's just, the way we played against the Steelers, I just want some sort of reclamation for that, because it's just we didn't put our best foot forward, and I feel like the team is probably hungry to put their best foot forward against what is a struggling Steelers team.
Yeah, if it happens, I'd love to be able to play the Steelers again, just because that is a team that throws 50 passes a game. And that's great for us.
All at a 2-yard throw depth.
Exactly. Yeah. So I wouldn't be too scared about that one, to be honest. Even though the corners would both have to have good games.
Right.
So Dane Jackson has been super solid.
Yes.
Really like the way that he's been playing. Oh, are they out?
I don't know. I thought they still had a chance technically. I think like something crazy has to happen. Like the Jaguars have to beat.
They're 8-7-1. I don't. Yeah, or 9. I don't know what their record is, but yeah, I think 8-7-1 sounds right to me. But yeah, it's yeah. I'm not sure, but if we can play them, yeah, I'd be fine with that one as well. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, they can still get that win next week. That's the first one that they got to do and get that home playoff game secured.
Of course.
And yeah, I mean, I feel great. I was very petty on Twitter this week, basically telling everyone there were a lot of people, including in this chat on our YouTube shows, that said the season was over like 4 or 5 weeks ago. And that's crazy because we're in the playoffs now. So you guys can all suck it and stop being such pessimistic,
reactionary,
your own football team.
Yeah.
Especially when it's the Buffalo Bills and we are a fan base that's had faith in them when they sucked. So I don't understand why some people are having so much trouble with it now that they're actually good. We're not always going to be the 2020 Bills. That might be the best offense that we've ever seen the Bills have because it was ridiculous. Right. But the defense is better this year. The team overall is just as good, if not better, this year. They just haven't been able to perform in some of the big spots. They haven't won the close games, and that's made the difference. So the Bills can beat anyone in the league. People actually were still trying to give me shit in replies to that tweet where I told everyone to kiss my ass. That some people were still saying, well, they're not going to win anything in the playoffs. So
what?
We will see. You can kiss my ass. You can kiss the other cheek when they win in the playoffs. So I'll warm it up for you.
Negativity.
Yeah. But hey, man, fans will be fans. They will be reactionary. It's an emotional game. You know, that's why people love it. It brings you joy, and sometimes it brings you sadness too. And some people like to let it out a little bit more than others, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully we're back here next week, giving you some good news and talking about all MVPs again, no negatives or anything like that. And hopefully we're talking about the ensuing playoff matchup and maybe talk about how that's going to go a little bit and what we can expect from it, because it's going to be big. And I think these AFC playoffs and probably even the NFC playoffs too are going to be really, really exciting, where it's anyone could win. So it's going to be really unpredictable and really exciting. And so any closing thoughts, Kendall?
Honestly, if we know the playoff situation and who we're going to be playing next week, maybe we do half a show on the Jets game and half a show of the show on our future opponent and try to show maybe some of the tendencies of our future playoff opponent. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the Jets game before we make any decisions there. Kind of just a thought. If you guys are interested in that, kind of like a split show of recap versus preview, let us know in the comments if you think that's a good idea, if you want to see that. Obviously, it's all dependent on who we play and how it goes against the Jets. Because if there's a lot of guys that are standing out making plays against the Jets, we might want to do the full 20 play slate of showing how good our guys are. But at the same time, it is the Jets, and maybe we should move on and turn the page a little bit towards the playoffs. So yeah, we'll workshop it. Definitely let us know what you guys think about that. But yeah, closing thoughts. That's my thoughts. And man, I can't wait for the playoffs, man. I can't wait to see what this team does when the lights are on and the pressure's on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where at least Josh Allen has seemed to shine the most is, you know, when the pressure's really on. You know, he's had points in his career where it's like, yeah, he's had some pressure and everything. And sometimes he doesn't do great in those situations. Sometimes he does get a little bit jittery. But when that pressure's really been there, I think he's been able to step up. And there maybe have been some pieces around him that haven't been able to do the same. And that's why we haven't seen them make it all the way yet. But could be the year. I think any one of those 7 teams that make it this year could be the year for them. Which is
for the AFC, absolutely. No one knows.
Which is why I think it's just such a cool season for us as NFL fans to be watching. So we'll talk about that split show idea then, and hopefully we can bring you something cool and new for that. But yeah, until next time, go Bills.